Tehran, the capital of Iran, June 2025. The city was calm, but the region was not. Tensions between Israel and Iran had reached one of their most dangerous points in years. Missile units were on alert, air defenses were active, intelligence agencies on both sides were preparing for escalation, and inside Iran, a man was already in position. He later appeared in a television interview under the name Arash. In that interview, he described his role as a covert asset working with Mossad during the June 2025 confrontation. He was not operating from abroad, he was not across the border, he was inside Iran, the heart of Iran. According to his account, he helped identify and support the targeting of an Iranian ballistic missile launcher that was later destroyed in a pre-session strike. This was not a random moment. This was the result of long-term preparation. By the time June crisis began, Arash was already embedded. He had an established cover, he had local access, he had built trust around him. This is how deep cover intelligence works. Assets are placed quietly, slowly, carefully, sometimes years before they are activated. In this interview, Arash explained that when tensions escalated, he received instructions to verify and assist in confirming the location of a specific missile launcher. His role was not dramatic, it was precise. He observed, he confirmed, he relayed. Precision strikes depend on accurate ground intelligence. Satellite images can show shapes, drones can capture movement, but someone on the ground provides certainty. Arash said he helped provide that certainty. While Israeli military planners were reviewing intelligence reports and preparing strike options, he was moving through the city like any other resident. He blended in, he understood the environment, he knew how to avoid suspicion, he knew how to communicate without drawing any kind of attention. This was not improvising, this was discipline. When the strike was carried out and the missile launcher was destroyed, it was seen publicly as a military action, but behind every military strike lays a network of intelligence. Arash represented one part of that hidden network. Inside Iran, operating quietly, living among the same people who would have considered him an enemy if they knew the truth. And after the strike, the atmosphere changed. Iranian authorities intensified counterintelligence efforts. Arrests were reported, public statements warned of infiltrations and collaborators. Security tightened. For an asset on the ground, that is the most dangerous phase. Before a strike, you prepare. During a strike, you act. After a strike, you survive. Arash described continuing his routine life while investigations were underway, maintaining normal behavior, avoiding sudden changes, staying calm. Because in intelligence work, panic is exposure. His story is not about explosions or dramatic chases. It's about patience, it's about preparation. It's about a man who lived inside one of the most guarded capitals in the Middle East and became part of a covert operation that had regional impact. Modern conflicts are not only fought by soldiers at borders, they are shaped by individuals already inside the system, already trusted, already watching, and when the moment comes, they move quietly, and history continues. Operations like this do not begin during a crisis, they began years earlier. Arash was not recruited in a dramatic moment. There was no secret meeting in a dark room, no sudden decision. Recruitment in modern intelligence is slow and calculated. It usually starts with access. A person who works near sensitive location, a person who understands logistics, a person who moves freely without raising any kind of suspicion. Over time, contact is established, communication becomes secure, trust is tested in small ways. First minor information, small confirmations, simple task. Only after reliability is proven does the relationship deepen. By the time June 2025 arrived, Arash was not new to the system. He was already part of a structured intelligence network. That means handlers, secure channels, clear protocols. He would not have acted alone. Every message would have followed procedure, every step would have been approved, every risk calculated. That's how Mossad is known to operate. long-term penetration, patience, and preparation. When tensions rose between Israel and Iran, the network did not need to be built. It was already in place. Arash's role became active because the groundwork had already been laid. In intelligence work, the real operation is not the strike. The real operation is the years spent preparing for the strike. And by the time the missile launcher was destroyed, the system behind it had been quietly functioning for a long time, invisible, disciplined, waiting. June 2025 did not begin with silence, it began with escalation. For years, tension between Israel and Iran had been growing through cyber operations, regional proxy conflicts, and warning about missile and nuclear capabilities. But in June 2025, the tension moved into direct confrontation. Israeli officials announced what they described as coordinated campaign targeting Iranian military infrastructure. The operation focused on ballistic missile systems, air defense units, and strategic facilities. The goal was clear: reduce Iran's ability to launch long-range attacks. Iran responded with strong rhetoric and military alerts. Air defenses were activated, security forces increased patrols, intelligence service began internal investigations to detect possible infiltrators. For 12 intense days, the region stood in age. Military analysts described it as one of the most dangerous moments between the two states in years. Precision strikes were carried out against selected targets. Reports indicated that several missile related sites were damaged or destroyed. The strike appeared calculated, limited in scope, but strategically significant. This was not a full-scale war, it was controlled escalation. Every move was measured, every action sent a message. Behind the visible military activity was an invisible battle, the intelligence war. Airstrikes require verified coordinates. They require update information. They require confirmation that the target is active and in the right position. That is where ground assets become critical. During this 12-day period, Arash rule reached its most important stage. According to his television account, he assisted in confirming the location and the status of a ballistic missile launcher inside Iranian territory. His job was not symbolic, it was operational. He provided real-time support. He helped ensure accuracy. In modern warfare, accuracy is power. A strike that hits the wrong locations creates political disaster. A strike that hits the correct target shifts military balance. When the launcher was destroyed, it was seen publicly as another headline in a growing crisis, but inside the intelligence community, it represented something else. It showed that infiltration had succeeded. It showed that networks inside Iran were active. It showed that intelligence was flowing outward, despite intense counterintelligence measures. After the strikes, Iran intensified internal security operations. Officials warned of espionage network operating within the country. Arrests were reported in the weeks that followed, surveillance expanded, investigations deepened. For assets like Arash, this was the most dangerous phase. During escalation, focus is on the enemy. After the escalation, focus shifts inward. Who helped? Who provided access? Who knew too much? The 12 days ended without full-scale war, but they changed the psychological landscape. They proved that the conflict was no longer limited to borders, cyberspace, or regional proxies. It had reached the core, and in the middle of it, not in uniform, not in military base, stood a man already inside the system, quiet, patient, and deeply embedded. When the strike stopped, the real pressure began. In conflicts like this, governments do not only look outward, they look inward. After the June 2025 escalation, authorities in Iran increased internal security operations. Public statements warned about infiltration. Officials spoke about foreign intelligence networks operating inside the country. Counterintelligence units began their work. Phone records, financial movements, workplace access logs, security camera footage, unusual behavior patterns. Every strike creates a question: how did they know? Precision targeting is really random. It suggests confirmation. It suggests someone on the ground. And when that possibility becomes real, investigations move quickly. For someone like Arash, this phase is more dangerous than the operation itself. During the mission, the objective is clear. After the mission, uncertainty begins. He described maintaining routine, keeping the same schedule, avoiding sudden travel, avoiding panic. In intelligence tradecraft, survival depends on the rule: do not change your behavior. If you suddenly disappear, you attract attention. If you suddenly become nervous, people notice. If you suddenly cut context, suspicion grows. So he continued living normally inside Tehran. Normal conversations, normal movements, normal life. But the atmosphere had changed. Security presence increased. Public warning about espionage circulated. Media reports spoke about arrest of suspected collaborators. This is how counterintelligence pressure works. It creates fear, it forces mistakes, it isolates potential suspects. The goal is not only to catch agents, it's to make them nervous enough to expose themselves. For Arash, discipline became critical. No emotional reaction, no unusual communication, no deviation from routine. Intelligence networks are built with layers. Assets do not usually know every detail. Communication is structured to limit exposure. That structure protects both the network and the individual. If pressure rises in one area, other parts of the network stay quiet. That silence is protection, but silence can also be heavy. Living under investigation without being publicly accused is a different kind of tension. Every announcement about arrest becomes personal. Every news report feels closer. Because in intelligence work, discovery does not come with warning. It comes suddenly. A knock at the door, a request for questioning, a search order. That uncertainty becomes the final test. The June escalation ended in days, but for someone embedded inside the system, the consequences lasted much longer. The battlefield had shifted. It was no longer about missiles or air defenses. It was about endurance, about whether a deep cover asset could remain invisible even after proving how effective he had been. And in that silent struggle, unseen by the public, the real contest continued. After the tension eased and the investigations continued, something unexpected happened. Arash spoke. In a television interview, he described his role during the June 2025 escalation. He explained how he assisted in confirming the missile launcher target and how the operation unfolded from inside Tehran. In intelligence work, silence is the rule, so why break it? There are strategic reasons. First, deterrence. When an intelligence agency allows an asset story to be shared, it sends a message. It tells everyone that infiltration runs deep, that operations are not random, that network exists where they are least expected. For an agency like Mossad, reputation is part of strategy. The idea that assets operate inside hostile territory creates uncertainty on the other side. Second, psychological impact. If one operation became public, how many others remain hidden? If one asset was inside, how many more could exist? That question alone can shift security calculations. Arash's interview was not just a personal story, it was information warfare. A reminder that modern conflict is not only about weapons, it's about access. And sometimes the most powerful weapon is the person already inside the system, waiting quietly for the moment to act. At the end, we have to know that modern wars do not always begin with explosions. Sometimes they begin with patience. The June 2025 confrontation between Iran and Israel showed something deeper than military power. It revealed how intelligence shapes the battlefield long before missiles are launched. Arash was not a soldier in uniform. He was not standing at a border. He was inside the system, living quietly inside Iran while working with Mossad. His story represents a new kind of front line, one without trenches, without headlines, without warning. In today's world, conflicts are shaped by network access and information. The most decisive moment often happen in silence. And somewhere right now, in some city under tension, someone may already be in place, watching, waiting, preparing, because in modern warfare, the battle you see is the only half the story, the other half is invisible.